In this video we're going to look at how and why cells divide. It's quite a tough one, this one, and there's very little humour in it, so best of luck. We're going to start looking at an organism. Any one of these will do the trick, and we're going to zoom in. And an organism is made up of a series of organ systems, like the digestive system, the circulatory system, and they all work together. Organ systems are in turn made up of organs. Organs are made up of several different types of tissue. And tissues themselves are made up of several different types of cells working together. Here's a picture of a nerve cell. To make life a little easier to understand in this cell division topic, we're just going to look at a generalized animal cell. Here you've got the cell membrane, and the nucleus is separated from the rest of the cytoplasm by a nuclear membrane itself. The nucleus itself is made up of chromatin, and chromatin is a whole load of densely coiled up DNA. Again, to make life easy for ourselves, I've just put two colours in here, blue and red. Obviously, in real life, the nucleus isn't colour-coded, but just to make life a little easier for us. If we were to separate these long lengths of DNA out from each other, in this example cell we're looking at here, there are 4. So our example cell, again, has 4 chromosomes. And these 4 chromosomes are arranged into 2 pairs. And as they match up, they're called homologous chromosomes because they're arranged into those pairs. And we've got 2 pairs of homologous chromosomes in this cell. So because in our example cell here, our example cell here then has a diploid number. Diploid number means the full set of DNA. It's got a full set of DNA of 4 chromosomes, so diploid number of 4. Obviously, us humans have got a diploid number of 46. Now, for the vast majority of the cell's life, the DNA won't be in chromosomes. It'll just be coiled up in the middle in the nucleus. Okay, we're going to look at the first type of cell division. We're going to look at mitosis. Mitosis is used when the body needs to grow and to repair the body by replacing damaged or dead cells. It's also used for asexual reproduction by some organisms. So again, we're going to go with our example cell here, which is a diploid number of 4 chromosomes. And the first step that happens is the DNA will replicate, it will double. Each of these pairs is called a pair of sister chromosomes, and they are genetically identical to each other because they've just been cloned, they've just been reproduced. Here's another set of sister chromosomes. Each pair of sister chromosomes is joined together at a structure called the centromere. Okay, just like the Earth has a North Pole at the top and a South Pole at the bottom, so too does a cell. And obviously cells don't point north and south, you can't use them like a compass, but they have got 2 opposite ends, which we will call the pole. From each of these poles, a spindle fibre will start to grow, and the spindles will attach themselves to the centromere of each pair of sister chromosomes. The spindle fibre will then kind of tighten, which will pull the chromosomes towards the center of the cell. And again, just like the Earth has got an equator around the middle of it, so too does the cell. And that's where these pairs of sister chromosomes will line up. The spindle fibre will continue to pull and will separate the sister chromosomes, one of which will go to each end of the cell. So you've now got the makings of 2 nuclei, one at each end of the cell, and they're both genetically identical to one another. Next, the cytoplasm kind of pinches in along the equator and keeps kind of pinching in until the 2 pinches meet, and now you've got 2 separate cells, each of which have the full set of DNA that you started with and are genetically identical to both each other and the parent. Another name for these are daughter cells. Both of the daughter cells have the full diploid number of chromosomes, as in they've got the full set of genetic information. Mitosis is used for growth and repair. It's also used for asexual reproduction among some organisms. Asexual reproduction is reproduction that doesn't need a sexual partner. The second type of cell division we're going to have a look at is meiosis. Meiosis is only used by us to make gametes, sperm and egg cells. It will only happen at the gonads, like the testicles and the ovaries. And to begin with, it starts off like mitosis, where the DNA doubles and then will separate into two bits. But in meiosis, the cells then divide again. Only this time the DNA hasn't replicated yet again. So the DNA is only replicated once and has now been split into these two cells. And these two cells are going to split again, but this time the DNA won't replicate. Again, we see the poles of the cell. Spindle fibers will grab onto each pair of homologous chromosomes. Now the difference is, earlier on we were talking about sister chromosomes, which were kind of copies of each other. These are homologous chromosomes, which means that each one will end up with one of a set of chromosomes, and they'll be different from one another. Again, the cytoplasm will pinch in. So in the end, you've got 4 separate cells. And if you remember, our original parent cell at the very beginning had 4 chromosomes. Each of these cells has got 2, one from each of the homologous pairs. Now the homologous pairs were chromosomes which kind of matched each other but weren't identical. So each of these, if you look very closely, each of these 4 daughter cells is different from one another. The top left has got a long red one and a bendy red one. The top right has got a bendy blue one and a long blue one. The bottom right has got a long red and a bendy blue, and the bottom left has got a long blue and a bendy red. Point being, they're all different from one another. So meiosis will provide 4 different gamete cells instead of the 2 that mitosis produces. And each of these 4 gametes will have half the DNA of the parent cell that you started with. Each gamete is different from each other because they've each got different chromosomes. This difference in DNA will give rise to variation, where the offspring that they will eventually make will be different from one another. Because each of these cells contains half the DNA of the parent cell, we call them haploid, half for haploid. And just like our diploid number of our parent cell, the 2n was equal to 4, the n here, the haploid number, is 2. The purpose of using meiosis to produce gametes is to provide variation, to end up with gametes that are all different from each other. That means that when these gametes, for example, the sperm will fertilize a different gamete with an egg, because of the variation you'll end up with an individual that is similar to what you started with, but different in many ways. Now there's another way that meiosis can increase this variation, apart from just swapping around which chromosomes end up in which cell. Going back a step or two, to the start of mitosis or the start of meiosis, the very beginning, after the cells have duplicated the DNA, after they've made a copy of their DNA, but before they've split, something a little different happens for meiosis. The pairs of homologous chromosomes line up, so you've got 2 pairs of sister chromosomes beside each other. But one bit of one chromosome will kind of break off and swap places with the chromosome from the other pair of sister chromosomes. And this can happen with both pairs of sister chromosomes. Now when those chromosomes split up through the rest of meiosis to the individual gametes they're going to end up with, in addition to having different chromosomes, they've now got different bits of chromosomes matched up with one another for an extra bit of variation, making each of these gametes absolutely unique. Okay, to summarize, here's a table showing all the information about mitosis and meiosis. So mitosis happens all over the body. It happens for growth and repair. there's one division during the process, and it will create all types of cells apart from the gametes. The number of chromosomes it makes will be 46, which is the diploid number for adult human body cells. Meiosis, on the other hand, is used to produce gametes, such as sperm and eggs. It will provide 4 cells instead of 2, but each of these 4 cells will have half the number of DNA, half the number of chromosomes. They'll have a haploid number of 23. These are used to generate gametes for sexual reproduction. Right, this is another really tough one. Here's a picture of a bear fighting a bear. My money's on the bear. Before we finish, the one thing people will probably get mixed up on is the difference between sister chromosomes and homologous chromosomes. So one more time. Homologous chromosomes are in all of your body cells. It's where your chromosomes are kind of in pairs. The 2 chromosomes will be similar to each other, but not identical. They'll have different genes on each one. There'll be more of this in the genetics unit. Sister chromosomes are when each of those chromosomes has copied itself and is an exact copy of one another. In any case, look at the bears, relax, and we'll see you again.